When you think about agriculture, what comes to mind? Tractors, corn and soybeans, FFA, just dirt? Or do you even imagine your average farmer? Straw hat, ragged out shirt, overalls with a patch on the knee, steel-toe boots ripped and shredded? But in reality, is that what really defines agriculture? What about the steps it took to make that tractor? What about the dedicated and diligent work it took to plant those crops? Do you know about the numerous of hours before and after class FFA students spend in serving their community and preparing for competitions just to represent their chapters? Or what about that farmer who had to earn his land, or even that ragged shirt and ripped up boots? What they had to go through just to get their crops into the market to satisfy the consumers. It all boils down to one word: leadership. Leadership surrounds us in many shapes and forms that we don't even realize. That tractor was not just put together and thrown around. It was designed by someone who had to think about every little design and necessity, then sent off to be revised and carefully put together with a specialized team so that the tractor could successfully get all the long hours in the field and inside the cab with ease. Not to mention having to go through the long processes of going through all the safety standards, insurance permits, and of course the actual sales act itself. But at the end of the day, it still boils down to leadership that those team members had to do to come together. The corn and soybeans in the fields that you pass driving to town from 431 or even Highway 56 doesn't just plant themselves. A farmer had to take the time out of their lives to go out and spend hours prepping the fields before the planting even began. It took determination of creating a product for the consumers and dedication to their career in the farming industry. There are 669,989 student members in the grades 7 through 12 who belong to 8,630 local FFA chapters here in America. A lot of people just think that FFA is just another club thrown together for a lot of rednecks and hicks, but what they don't know is how many hours we spend as a team. So much so that we're like a family. From the long drives to WLC, fighting over the last bit of pink lemonade at camp, or the long hours of community service, and most of all, preparing for all of our competitions together. As an FFA member, you're seen as an example and expected to live to that, because FFA members are the future of agriculture. And lastly, the farmer. That farmer might have been born into a farming family, but sometimes that doesn't matter. They have to work numerous hours, and not to mention just to learn everything in general. From how to drive tractors, how much to feed their animals, and even just all the safety procedures and things to please their consumers. They have so much to do that they are missing their child's first birthday, all their sports and extracurricular activities, and even anniversaries, just to make sure that their crops will satisfy and meet all criteria and safety needs to get into their consumer's mouth. Farming just doesn't come natural. It's honestly a learning process every day. Being close with Rod Kegel, who's been farming his whole life and is now in his 60s, still learns something on the farm every day, even if he doesn't want to admit it. They aren't just people with nasty clothes. They're people that have the pressure to feed the whole entire world. If it wasn't for our farmers, we wouldn't have the food we take for granted every day, or even a foundation for America. Leaders, chemists, accountants, marketing analysts. Farmers have to wear many professional hats in today's agriculture. Without the technology that is required, to consumers not really understanding the food supply, to a declining farming population, agriculture is facing major challenges. But one thing has not changed. Farmers are still the same selfless humans that they were 100 years ago. The farmer is honestly the greatest steward of our land. A quote that my advisor had once shared with me is, "If serving is below you, leadership is beyond you." So I hope you take away from this that farming just isn't all the little hypocritical things that people say. It is one big family.